in this video we are going to look path to become a successful web developer in 2023. We will be looking all the skill sets that a web developer requires to become successful. Okay. So now without wasting time, let's get started. So the first thing that we have is web development fundamentals. Like what we have to learn to become a web developer, a successful web developer. Let's see the first thing. So the first thing that you should learn is HTML. Like what is HTML? So you might have actually made some basic HTML pages like to display some image, some heading. Okay. So HTML is nothing but hypertext markup language, and it is the standard markup language used to structure content on the web. Okay, so this is the very basic thing that you should learn at first. So this is the first thing that you should learn in order to deep dive into the web development path. It allows developers to create and organize text, images, and other media in a coherent structure, in a good structure. Okay, so this is the first thing that you should consider learning. The next thing after HTML is CSS. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. It is a style sheet language used to describe the presentation of a document written in HTML. So you might have actually declared some tables, some text, some images in your HTML, and you might have required to show them in some particular format, some colors with some background, some heading. Okay, so to change the styling of those content, you use CSS. Okay, so CSS is used to present data in the document. Okay, in a beautiful way. It allows developers to control the layout, colors, fonts, and other visual aspects of a web page. So this is the second thing that you should learn in order to deep dive into the web development path. So this is the second thing that you should learn it. Now let's see the next thing that we have in the row. So the next thing is JavaScript. JavaScript is scripting language used to add interactivity and dynamic functionality to a web pages. It allows developers to create interactive user interfaces, manipulate page content, and communicate with servers. So actually, in any case, if you want to add some functionalities in your web development, like something happens on button click, some page opens, like some text should be displayed, any functionality that you can assume can be made using the JavaScript. So this is the third thing that you should learn in after learning CSS. Okay, so we have seen three things like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So the difference between three of them is HTML is used to structure the web pages, CSS is used to design the web pages, and JavaScript is used to add the functionalities to web pages. So these are some basic three things that you should start the web development career with. Okay. So now let's learn what is front-end development. So HTML, CSS, and JavaScript that we have seen so far comes under the core languages used in the front-end development. And there are some CSS and JavaScript framework or libraries that are most widely used to build powerful web projects. Okay, like some of them are React, Angular, or Vue.js. These are three popular libraries and frameworks that are widely used for creating web pages. Okay, so I think some of the students might have already used React or Angular or Vue.js. Okay, these are some three popular framework and libraries. Okay, the next thing that you should learn is how to interact with your command line. While using the React or Angular, you might have a requirement sometimes to interact with your project using the command line. Like suppose if you want to start your React project in your local machine, you have to write npm start in your terminal. So this is a command line interaction that you should learn. Okay. Now let's see the next thing that we have. The next thing that you should learn is Git for version control. What is version control? Actually, you might have used Git, but for those who haven't used Git, Git is actually used to save your project to some state. Like suppose you can make various checkpoints of your project to which you can roll back your project into if you face some difficulties. Okay, like suppose you made some errors, but in older checkpoints everything was fine. So you can roll back to that version. So that's why Git is used. Okay, you can you should definitely learn Git because Git is so widely used. Actually, it cannot be neglected in 2023. So you should consider learning it. So the next thing that you should have is professional portfolio. So after learning basic front end with some framework, you should try to develop a portfolio to showcase your skills. It will add a 5-star in your profile. And you should also actually have the knowledge of development tools like uh, various extensions, code editors, popular code editors. Okay, so you should have the knowledge of them. So the next thing that in the row that you can learn is backend development. So what is backend development? So the backend development is the server side development. So suppose if you write google.com, then your request goes to internet and internet will return you some web page that you can interact with. So the request that is handled by internet is known as backend development. Okay. So in order to learn backend development, you should first learn backend programming language. Like in the field of development of backend, language is the base and you should learn it. And you should have a strong command over it. There are three major languages that giant IT firms use. One is Java, one is Python and PHP. But in beginning, you can actually use the JavaScript itself. Actually, you can do backend development using JavaScript and Node.js. Okay, and for to be a backend developer, you can and you should have a basic knowledge of front end, how front end is working. So that you can actually handle request and all easily, and you should not get confused with how front end will deal with your data. Okay, so that's why you should have a knowledge of what is front end technology and how it works to become a good web backend developer. So the next thing in the row that we have is uh, database technology. So if you will try to create a full stack web project like an e-commerce website or other thing, you will have a point when you will require a database. Like suppose you have created a note taking application or e-commerce web app or any other web app, you will be requiring to you will require a technology to save your data like users information, your products, your orders that are placed on your web project. So you will require a technology to save all your data, okay, for the further use. So that's why a database is used. So database is nothing but a simple storage in which you will store your data. So backend developers should have a proficiency in database technology as also, because in backend directly you cannot store data, you will require a database to storing your data. So also you should have a good knowledge of web server frameworks like you should have a knowledge of Express. You can have the knowledge of Express framework if you are using Node.js. Okay, so you should have the knowledge of web server framework also. And the next thing that you should have is security protocols. You should learn how security protocols can be used to secure your website, because backend developers should have a proficiency in security protocols. Why? Because you might you have to make your website safe from cyber threats. Like you should save your passwords in hashed format in cryptographic manner so that people cannot easily learn it if they get leaked. So these are some basic things that you should learn. Actually, you should consider learning security protocols if you are doing backend development. This is one of the majorly asked thing. Like, do you know what is JWT and how security protocol works? So this is one of the most important thing that you should consider learning. So now let's say full stack development. So in the row, after learning front end, then back end, after then you should explore what is full stack. So full stack development is combined understanding of front end, back end, and database. Actually, to become a full stack developer, you should have the knowledge of these all three technologies like front end technology, back end technology, and database technology. If you have the knowledge of these three technologies, then you can become a successful full stack developer also. So the front end, as I said, you should take good experience in front end development using frameworks, libraries, and Bootstrap to get familiar with how things works in web development. Okay, like how a website is built, how everything works, as I told you earlier. After that, you should take a good experience in backend development also. You should have strong understanding, good understanding of server side development, like how your requests are handled, how server responds, what are status codes, how actually we can route to different pages in various cases. And one thing that I want to add on is to become a backend developer, you should have the good knowledge of problem solving skills also, good knowledge of DSA also, because DSA is used on a good level in the backend development. And then at last, you should try to implement some full stack projects. So if you are a beginner in web development and you are building your career in your web development, then you should actually make some projects. Like if I give a good estimate, you can actually make 2 to 3 projects in which 2 projects should be your major projects and the last can be your minor project. So you should make at least 2 to 3 projects to start your career at good pace as a web developer, because if you will try to get an internship or a job in web development, your projects will be seen by the recruiter, like what you have done, what you have learned, what is your development level, what is your skill level. It will be observed by the recruiter. So that's why you should actually make some full stack projects. Then at last, if I will conclude everything, I would say these are the basic steps that you can follow to have good experience of how things works in web development. So the first thing was HTML, then CSS, then JavaScript, then front-end development with frameworks and libraries, then back-end development with framework and libraries. Then after, at last, you can have a good knowledge in database technology, and at last, you should explore full stack. And in any of the three fields like front end, back end, or full stack, you can actually pick any of the three. But you should have good knowledge on at least one of the three. Like you can be a good front end developer, or you can be a good back end developer, or you can be a good full stack developer also. It depends on your interest. But in at least one technology, you should have a good experience. Okay. So the next thing that I want to conclude is you should be updated with the latest technologies advancements to keep your pace with the fast running competitive environment. Because in the life of web developer, if you are picking it as a career, there will be so many latest new technologies that will be arising. Like suppose in current scenarios, Vue.js is widely used. So you should know what is Vue.js, how it actually works to keep your pace with other competitors so that you should not be surpassed by others. So that's why this is one of the key points that will make you successful in your web development career. Okay. So these are some points that you can consider. And again, repeating, you should have a good experience in at least one of the three things that I've said, like front end or back end or full stack, if you are trying to make your career in web development. So this is it for this video, and I hope you like it, and thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next video. Till then, take care guys. Bye.